Welcome in, Mike. I know we've got big news. We want to talk about a couple of things. First and foremost, I know that our listeners are very, first of all, they're just really grateful for all you've done. I think there are lots of folks throughout the country who may not even know, but all you've done to stand up for this country, the country you love, and everything you've really sacrificed. So first and foremost, let's start with that. Thank you, and I know our folks would want to make sure you hear that.
Well, thank you, and I give the glory to God, but it's been with MyPillow being the most attacked company in history the last 4.5 years, and all the attacks we've been able to get through with everybody's support and prayers out there, and I want to thank you back for all of that and supporting my company, my employee-owned company, but we're coming out. We're coming out now that I believe we're getting through, and we're going to be very proactive now going forward to secure our elections in the 2026 election. Get rid of the machines. Get to paper ballots, hand counted, where we need to get to.
It seems to me such a reasonable, such a common sense answer. And you bring this up, Mike. We talked with Pat Colbeck, who I know works with you pretty closely. He's a great
Yeah.
friend here in Michigan. And Pat said we got some big news coming. And I talked to folks today, and I said, well, this is massive. The DOJ has opened a nationwide investigation into cleaning up the dirty rolls. Now, and this is what I told people. I said, first and foremost, President Trump is doing so many things,
Right.
all of these great things, but none of it matters unless we get this taken care of first. None of it matters unless we do this. And you told me, and that was interesting. Mike said off the air, "Oh no, that's just part of the big announcement. There's a lot more on the way."
That's right. And you said it right. I've been saying it for 4.5 years. The president and I talk all the time, and he knows. Him and I have been in perfect lockstep sync. And as far as we've got to get rid of the electronic voting machines, like 132 countries have banned computers and electronic voting machines in their elections. And he wants to get to same day voting, paper ballots, hand counting, and all people do. I just had a gal in a restaurant yesterday, and she goes, and she said, we went in to eat, my wife and I, and she says, in front of the whole restaurant, she goes, "Mike, you're a really nice guy, but you're on the wrong team." And I go, "I don't know what team that is." I said, and what you mean? We're all on the same team. We're all God's children. And I said, "I don't care what party you're in." I said, "My whole cause has been to secure our elections, because everything else won't matter if we don't secure our elections now." I told the president the other day, just a couple weeks ago, when I was in the Oval Office there, and I said, "Sir," I promise you, I said, "we're going to do everything we can." And of course, he is from the top down. I said, "We're going to do everything we can to make sure that we get these elections secure, so that these next 4 years are not in vain or just a blip in history, because it all goes away, everybody. Nothing else matters if you have selections instead of elections. We all went through that in the last 4 years. We all learned what can happen when you steal elections." And everyone says, "Well," I just got another comment the other day attacking me, going, "Well, Mike, gee, all of a sudden there was no election crime in the 2024 election because your friend Donald Trump won." I said, "No, that's not true. There was 9 congressmen stole, 9 members of the House stole, 4 senators stole." And remember, everybody, this isn't a Republican or Democrat thing. This is a uniparty thing. Who's taking our country is the uniparty, deep state globalists, and the CCP. You're going to see so much coming out here about China, the CCP involved in our elections. You've already heard about the ballots and all this other stuff. But the piece that you're seeing coming out right now, like I said, is just a small part of this, actually, is the voter rolls in this country. Now, I've been sounding the alarm for 4.5 years. You got a state like Wisconsin where there's 7.2 million names on their voter rolls. If everybody voted that could register and vote in Wisconsin, it's a little over 4 million. You have 3 million other names on there. Why? And guess where they're at, everybody? They're in the computer. It's like having thing you can pull from. You need that product to pull from when you're doing that, when you're putting in all these names, when you're putting in names there to steal the election with the computer. That you have to take that away. And by the way, Justin, when they put all these things in and didn't clean the rolls, and these rolls have been so dirty, and then they have all these things that were put in back with the China virus. When they did this and put in there, you can vote them, 2 months early and stuff like Minnesota. You can, and all that was done illegally. Everybody, and the only one that fought it was Ken Paxton, the Attorney General in Texas, and he won all 12 cases. So they didn't have months early voting down in Texas. Every other state, now you've added another way to cheat with the computers. Remember, it all goes back to the machines, but you need these early voting and all these other things so you can get all these be able to combine them all, and you steal it without even realizing your election stole, because you're going, well, that doesn't make sense, but that's what the machines tell us. I went through all this, and by the way, only 13 states have reverted back to prior to the China virus. But the rules that were in place, they were all done illegally. The legislatures make the laws, not the crooked Secretary of States in this country. So we've got so many things going on, and but I'll tell you, if the last 4.5 years, like the president and I have talked, if Donald Trump would have been put back in right after the 2020 election with all the fraud, we would have lost our country forever, because we needed to find out these last 4.5 years so much that was revealed. We had to have those 4.5 years. Even him in power had to have that. You learned 2020 election will go down as the most important election, I believe, in history.
Mike, let me ask you about that, because you're kind of tapping into something there, and is a bit of seems like a divine intervention. And I don't know. To me, I just look at it. I think it's undeniable. If you look at everything, the way that it played out, what we know now, I tell everyone, we're in the find out era. They have that, fool around and find out, we like to call it, right?
Right.
We're in the find out era, and really, what that means is, I think everything's being revealed.
It is.
We are here for such a time as this. President Trump, that millimeter miracle, as our good friend Pastor Sewell likes to call it. All of it is just too hard to. I think it takes more faith to believe all that's just coincidence, and to believe that God was playing a role there.
Well, this is what we were up against when they tried to cover up the biggest crime in history. We broke through the biggest cover up of the biggest crime in history. We broke through the cover up, and it took over 4 years to break through that. For myself personally, when I was back sounding the alarm in January of 2021, and I'm going to backtrack a little bit there. When you talk about divine intervention, and I was on January 4th of 2021, I was down in Georgia with the president. I believe it was January 4th, and it was the rally for the two senators. Remember, that was the big race. It was a runoff race with the two senators, and we had to win one of them to hold the Senate. And I'm down there, and all of a sudden I go, you know what? I started praying to God, please, God, have them steal both senators. And everyone's going, what? Why would you do that? Well, here's why. By that time, if I was the evil's marketer, if I was the marketer for them, they were already found out that their devices, the voting machines, they were caught. They were caught by the 2020 election. They were caught. And if I was their advice, they said, you know what? Give them back a Republican so they shut up about this election. Had they done that, if they would have done that, people wouldn't have listened. They would have said, hey, we still have the Senate. Let's get them back in 2022. We'll campaign harder. But they didn't. They were greedy, and praise the Lord, they stole them both, because you know what? Everybody went, oh, wait, maybe there was fraud in this election. We need to do something. Well, the evil had another plan. They had January 6th planned out. So on January 6th, when that went down, January 7th and 8th are two of the most important days in history, everybody. 1.2 million Americans were deplatformed on January 7th and 8th of 2021. If you spoke out about the vaccine, if you spoke for Jesus Christ, or if you spoke out about the elections. So our voice went down to this little tiny dot. I compared to when I was growing up, a dot on a TV, black and white TV, you'd turn it off, it would go down real small, and we turn it back on as kids, it would come back to life. Well, everyone else, by the way, was afraid to speak out. Parler got wiped off the face of the earth because it was a competition to Zuckerberg's Facebook and
I
Jack
remember that.
Dorsey's crooked Twitter. Now, when that happened, at the same time on January 7, John Ratcliffe, the head of the DNI, came out with a report saying, hey, China, we have problems with China in the election. But it got lost in the news. They didn't want to cover that. So our voice, you guys, that dot didn't go out, though. That's where I've told the president right now, we after 4.5 years, now our voice has gotten bigger. We have great podcasts like yourself, Justin. We have platforms. All these, you have Truth Social, Vocal. You have Telegram, Getter, Gab. The new Elon's X. You have even Zuckerberg's Facebook. They don't cover up stuff anymore. So our voice has gotten bigger. So now when these things come out, we can be proactive and report these things that are coming. But it took people needed to see the bad over the last 4 years before they could, it's kind of like seeing the light.
It really is something. We had to go through it. And it's interesting, over and over in the Bible, you read about this, where people had to go through some really tough time. What they asked for, they got. God gave it to them. And then they come out on the other side learning from it. We're still trying to learn today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like telling this story of the president and I were sitting last summer, and we were sitting in his office, and it was just him and I. And this was early. This is before he got shot, so it might have been June of last year. And I remember sitting there with him, and we're talking, and I said, sir, all these bad things going on are actually helping. I said, God is using them for good. God uses all things for good for those who believe. And I said, he goes, well, what do you mean? And I said, here, there's two buckets right now, sir. I said, the one bucket is the bucket of common sense. People are jumping in as these bad things are happening. They're jumping into your bucket of common sense. I said, another bucket going on is the bucket for Jesus Christ, the biggest revival in history. I said, people don't look to God when things are going good. It's when things are going bad. And I told him, they're going pretty bad right now. And he looked at me and he goes, Mike, he said, I don't know if we can get this all fixed, though, in 4 years. And I looked at him and I said, sir, with God, all things are possible. And God working through you, you'll get it done faster and better than anyone in history. And you guys, look what he's done so far. This is a miracle. These are miracles that are happening right before our eyes. And people say to me, I'll give you, even for my own personal, I'll bring this up now. All the lawfare that was done to silence people and the attacks, MyPillow being the most attacked company in history. If you guys have followed what's happened just in the last month and a half, 2 months, we went to Colorado for one of the first lawsuits. There was over 100 people and platforms sued in January and February of 2021 by these voting machine companies and their affiliates. Everyone either were cowards because they didn't want to go broke and said, oh, we'll settle, or their insurance companies made them settle. Well, I wouldn't settle. Once you know and see what I've seen, we can't, or we lose our country. They have to go. So what I did is we brought all the way to jury trial in Colorado. MyPillow won. Now they still put against my old Frank speech and me personally. It was over $2 million, which we're going to appeal. But they and this comes into play in a minute. I want to tell everybody the blessing here. But MyPillow was totally exonerated. Now remember, if that wouldn't have happened to everybody, imagine all of the podcasters, all the TV networks, and the host says something, and they get sued, but you sue the advertisers too. Nobody would advertise in our country, everybody. Okay. So we won that. And in that courthouse, they keep pointing back to this $5 million challenge. When I had the summer of 21, I had what's called the Cyber Symposium, where I presented evidence, and you got $5 million if you could prove it wasn't from the 2020 election, which it all was. So this guy corruptly, it went through 3 years ago, he went through arbitration, binding arbitration, and here in Minnesota, and he comes out, he won. I'm going, what? How do you? It was so corrupt. Then we took it to the appeals court and for district court, and they rarely overturn anything, and they didn't overturn it. They said they did something wrong, but we're not going to overturn it. So last November, everybody, and I said to my attorneys, I said, this is, I'm not going to settle for this. What can we do? And they said, well, you could take it to federal court, but the odds of getting overturned are millions to one, and it hasn't happened in 40 years. You guys, I did it. I pushed it through, and just 2 weeks ago, they came back and completely overturned that. And here's the significance of it. Now they can't, all the stuff the president that we're doing from above and they're doing from the top down, they can't point anymore and say Mike Lindell's evidence or the evidence is no good. There's no evidence the 2020 election was stolen. Look at this. He lost $5 million challenge. So you guys, this is so important. So now even on my appeal in Colorado, now we get to have a new appeal and maybe even a new trial because that judge let him use something that hadn't even went all the way through the courts, which was wrong. So this was so important, Justin, to win this. So you see things that you would normally you would look at and say, well, that's impossible. With God, all things are possible. And I'm watching it unravel right before my eyes, and the country is too. So it's just what a blessing.
It really is amazing. And Mike, I tell you, one of the things that I talked about with Pat, and I'll just leave maybe the door open for you to mention this too, because I think you have a similar perspective, and you're kind of hitting on that in this vein. You get a lot of people that tend to get frustrated that things aren't happening fast enough, or they're not seeing the progress that they like to see right away. And I told them, look, Rome wasn't built in a day. The country wasn't destroyed in a single day. It's going to take time to turn things around as well, get things back on track. What do you say to the folks that are feeling that frustration? And I understand why, but what do you say to folks who want to see things move quicker and maybe in God's time?
Well, let me just tell you, there's nobody. If you look up patience, you're not going to see a picture of me, right? And I want to go back to the spring of 2020 when I spoke at the Rose Garden. This was right before the China virus, and I said, God has given us grace for such a time as this. We had taken God out of our schools and God out of our country. A nation had turned its back on God. Well, for the next 4 years after the election was told, you know how many people came out to me and go, Mike, this doesn't feel like grace. This doesn't feel like grace. And I said, oh, but it is. The people, like I said before, pouring into the greatest revival in history for Jesus Christ, people's eyes had to be opened up. It's all a process. This is all on God's timing, not our timing. And I tell people all the time, too, well, Mike, I prayed for this, and it didn't happen. You know what? Those are reactionary prayers, everybody. I used to pray when I was in jail all the time. Get me out, and I won't do this again, please, God. Well, you're praying for something that might not be God's will or God's timing. And I tell people, well, where is God's will and his timing? God's will is in the Bible. You stay in the word every day, and now you can be proactive in prayer, and they line up beautifully. And as I watch things that I might have, for me, I can say, well, this is what this is going to manifest to. And our president has that great gift too, where he can problem solution and he knows what it'll manifest to. But I can be proactive in prayer and not get impatient with the timing of things going on. If you don't think, and I can look back, all the evidence I had, everybody, when I sounded the alarm back in January and MyPillow lost every box store and shopping channels, and we were the most attacked. I'm raising my hand. The media is attacking me every day. I go, we got to get rid of the voting machine. Do you know what happened in this election? They're using computers and all this stuff. And it was an endless attack. And right then I had the evidence that would have flipped the election back. And I thought, wow, this is the evidence. And I remember leaving the White House and calling up Ben Carson, my friend, good friend Ben, and he said, Mike, did you get it to the president? And I said, yeah, but they're not doing nothing. They didn't sign it was under protective order, the evidence. And this was January 15th, you guys, of 2021. And I had to sit there and I was devastated. I go, here, we're going to lose our country in my mind. And then Ben said something to me. He goes, Mike, you know what? Maybe this God has a bigger plan. He doesn't go by dates of November 3rd or December 14th or January 6th. Maybe things have to happen on his timing to get to a place that this great place we would get to. And and it just hit me, and I stopped being. I just had a piece about me. Remember, that was January 15, 2021. Now, did I realize everything I did for 18 hours a day? I spent the next year and a half, flew 750 hours, wore out 4 pilots, meeting Secretary of State's, Attorney Generals, Congressmen. So, and here's what we have. Here's what we have. And it was very frustrating, but I've had to learn that patience. And now you can look back, everybody, and go, wow. Sure, everybody'd like to have an overnight, but people have to realize, they had to realize how bad things were. They're just getting, okay, we can just accept this and accept this. So I'm telling you all, have patience and have peace. Great things are coming more than your wildest dreams. And it's on God's timing, not ours. And, you know, for me, I have a huge sense of urgency, you guys. We need to get rid of these voting machines before the primaries for these midterms. If they steal one of them back, it's over. Okay. This is the urgency. And this is what I've been all about. And now if it does, if only part of that happens or whatever, I don't know. But all I know is every one of us needs to do what we can do to secure those elections, to secure them. And I'm talking the primaries. I'm talking the primaries, not the general election. They do it in the primaries too. And it's all elections. It's not just the presidential one. This is what they're going to do. Remember, if they steal the Senate back or the House, I mean, it's over. When you know, all this work will be in vain. But we're not going to let it happen. And I will say that if maybe it's a good time. I don't usually reach out, Justin, but you guys, if you want to help, you can go. It's very simple. You can also go to proactively. You can go to MyPillowTrial.com, and it brings you to the Mike Lindell Legal Defense Fund. 100% of all the money goes to help secure our elections, and is going to help. This is that one appeal I have coming up where you can help out there, but this is a shortcut to go to MyPillowTrial.com. We also have you can look any of the stuff we have going. We have the Lindell Offense Fund where remember I probably put, Justin, I believe I got 40 million into this into my own money into helping out the country to get these elections secure. But I want to say something, everybody, if this could help you get motivated here. What that crooked attorney in May, the last thing the jury heard, everybody, was this. He says, now, jury, members of the jury, you've all heard that Mike Lindell was once had a net worth of over 50 million, and now it's minus 10 million. And he said, but we're going to ask you guys for his defaming statements. We're going to ask you for $60 million. But if you want to give us more, you can. And he said, and this will probably bankrupt MyPillow and Mike Lindell, but we need to send a message to the country that you cannot interfere with our elections by putting out disinformation like Mike Lindell has done. This is what they said in that courtroom.
Incredible.
It was incredible, the evil that's against us from these from the lawfare. We're fighting the media and everything, but you guys, we're winning, and we're winning, and we're winning. And and not just from, like you say, great things are coming out. And one of the things you can do, if you can't afford to give anything or to help out that way, get others that can. Or another thing too you can do is spread the information that's coming out. Get on all your platforms. If you see something that's, because there's information that's going to just start pouring out. We have to convince people. A lot of people can't wrap their head around, wow, our elections are controlled just completely controlled, and we the people have no say because of these computers. No, that's fact, everybody. We have one shot in history to save our country, basically save the world. And for God to give us grace during this time. And it's all coming to fruition, and it's really amazing. And people say, well, Mike, if you could turn back now that everything's gone because you put it all in, would you turn back time knowing what you know now? The media asked me just the other day, that's a stupid thing to ask me. I told you 2 years ago, I'd borrow money. I'll do whatever I have because I have nothing anyway. We don't have anything anyway if we don't secure elections. I've lived the American dream on steroids, going from an ex-crack cocaine addict to where I got to today. And and those freedoms are all going to be gone. Now, one of the things what lawfare does, that's our First Amendment right of free speech. I mean, if you can't go after electronic voting machines that we paid for, that run our government, that run our elections, what can we speak up about? It's disgusting. And but this was all coordinated. It's all by evil. And they say, well, Mike, who's at the top of this? Who's this? Guys, it's so widespread. I've like lived inside the biggest spy movie in history. You're going, wait a minute, this is over here, this is over here. But you guys know this: we're 4.5 years ahead. If we win, the teams we've had on the ground, like your Patrick Kobeck, he's just a godsend. All these things, we're so far ahead of the curve here that if we had to start over and trying to gather all this stuff, we would be done. And there you see, you're getting these ads up. You guys using that promo code Justin. Helping MyPillow, my employee-owned company. This is where they've just attacked it just so that I would stop talking about the elections, and that's never going to change. We've got, you see the My Coffee now, I save up to 50%. All of these specials are new energy drink. You get a free 3-pack just by ordering anything today, but use that promo code Justin. And you guys, if you call 800-945-5839, use the promo code Justin. And you guys, what I'm going to do right now, I haven't done this, and Justin, you didn't even know about it. It'll be free shipping on your entire order. So you can get the made in the USA mattresses. We have the mattress toppers. We got in all these new bath sheets. These are oversized bath towels, are great towels, bath mats, but free shipping on your entire order. So that, and I know you didn't know that, right?
No, that's us.
Sure.
Mike, I love it. We talk about you guys all the time, and the thing is I love it because people want to know how they can support. And I say this is one of the best ways to do it, because not only do you help support Mike, but you help support this program as well to help get the word out. And you're getting a great deal on some amazing, whether it's any of the things that you make at MyPillow, but also the great things inside my store, supporting small businesses across the country. Right. It really is something. And Mike, you didn't know this, but we just kicked off Mattress Month. Because I was floored. I didn't realize that you make mattresses, you have the toppers, you have all these things. Mattress Month. And I just want to tell people that, this is another big thing that you can look at, because people look at these mattresses. Why go to somebody else when you get them from Mike?
Right. And there's a lot of reasons to do that. I help design our mattresses. Everything I've helped to design or worked at. Mine is problem solution. When I invented MyPillow, you have two different sleep cycles. You have REM sleep and what's called delta sleep, where your body needs your body needs good sleep too. It needs and it's all about temperature and pressure points. And so when we did these mattresses, I didn't just say, well, just put it together, make it for this, and I'll sell it for that. No, I reverse engineer what's going to help you get great quality sleep. So you have your mattress pads, your mattresses, and your mattress toppers, everybody. The mattress toppers we have, let's say you got a new bed and it's just not quite right. Well, you know what? You don't want to return it. It's go through all that. Well, you know what? You get a mattress topper and it's gonna change your life. You don't have to go buy one thing, if you're sleeping out there, I don't care, new bed, old bed, and you're waking up with the same aches and pains, you need a different input to get a different output. Yeah. And all these two are made in the USA. So it's a win-win-win-win. And by the free shipping I just added, you guys, those are big ticket items to ship. Now it's on us. My employees and I want to thank you all. And we're doing it with the free shipping, and you're helping USA jobs. But the biggest thing, you're helping yourself get the best quality sleep you could ever get. Our great president, remember, he doesn't sleep much, but when he does, it's quality. His favorite products, he loves MyPillow, and he loves our Giza Dream Sheets. By the way, you guys get them on sale. The sheets, there's nothing like it in history. The sheets, you get them and you don't want to get out of bed. There's every single product that we have at MyPillow. I wanted to help you. And like these towels, they actually dry you. What Mike, a concept, right?
This is the only towel that I've ever had that actually dries you. I'm not kidding. Every other towel just moves the water around. Right. These soak it up.
Yeah. And the reason for that is, I'll just tell you a quick story about that, you guys. the towels, when I grew up, towels worked. I'm going, all of a sudden, towels, I'm going, they're like slimy. They feel like lotiony, like those pre-snotted Kleenexes they used to tell us that, oh, they're lotiony. Just give me normal stuff here. It didn't make sense. So I dug into what happened with our towels, and I found out in 2006 it was a government deal. It's called GATT. I don't know, it's GAIT or something, GATT. And what it was deals they made with Pakistan, China, India, all these other countries where they could import towels with no tariffs or nothing on them. So it was a free for all. And when they did that in 2006, all these towel companies started adding stuff to the towels, like fabric softeners, lotions, all these stuff, so that it would feel soft in the store, but you get them home and they didn't work.
Wow.
So I took the technology and I found out there was technology out there that actually made them soft, but they absorbed. I had a lot of fun making that commercial back in the day because I went and bought some towels at some stores, and we took water and poured them in both. This one here, the water just stayed. I go, you could line a swimming pool with that, and threw it away. And, but it's probably everybody, the towels. And now, like I say, these are called bath sheets. These are, and they're made with the best cotton, pure cotton, and it's like now you get the best of both worlds. These oversized towels that and towels that work. What a concept! So promo code Justin, everybody. Promo code Justin. Then you're going to get free shipping on that entire order. You're going to help support the most attacked company in history, and only because their CEO wants to help save the American dream and help save the country and will not shut up. They've told a long time ago when they canceled me and canceled MyPillow, all it was, if they've even said, we've had one of the companies even say, if you quit talking about our machines, we'll just walk away. And I go, no, we're not walking away. I will keep saying, I will keep fighting until they're gone. Now people say, you see stuff out there, Mike Lindell was vindicated. All the evidence is here. This is good. No, you guys, I don't care about that. You know what I care about? That we get to paper ballots hand counted like every other country in the world, and we secure our elections, so then we could have all our jobs are safe here, all the great things our president's doing, and then people say to me all the time, Mike, look what you've done to your company. It's just been destroyed and destroyed. You know what? We're still here. We're still putting out the great products, and my employees thank each and every one of you for supporting us and using that promo code Justin.
And I'll just say this: what the enemy meant for evil, I believe, is going to backfire. And MyPillow and this country too, Mike, I think all going to be back on top and better than ever before, because they stood the test and stood up to the evil. And I think people see that. And I thank God for what you're doing, but also that there are good folks still in this country that will support you and want to fight for it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And you guys keep the faith. I mean, they, like I said, stay in the world, get those proactive prayers going, and just keep watching. By the way, you can go to Lindell TV, LindellTV.com, everybody. If you check that out, that's my network that they tried to destroy too, back when I was worried that we wouldn't have a voice. And we have 2 White House correspondents. There from noon to 3 every day. You guys go to Lindell TV. The Mayor Rudy Giuliani, myself. You got Emerald Robinson. You have a daily Lindell report there, and then the where you see Vocal VOCL. That's the sister social media site to Lindell TV. You want to know what's going on? This is where you need to go and get on that social media site. It's also our election app. Find out what's going on in your own backyard. But we have 24/7 TV on Lindell TV, and you guys can you get your information there, and then spread it. You want to be right up to the minute on what's going on, both good and bad. And there's so many good things coming, but once again, the mainstream media, they're going to try and suppress it. One of the things, Justin, that did surprise me, I want to tell you how things are changing a little bit, everybody. When I won that $5 million challenge, if you guys Google my name, Mike Lindell, and hit news, they actually even put up good pictures of me. I was surprised. Instead of being like this, they were actually good pictures, and it was really, they were great articles. I don't know how they could spin it. Mike Lindell won. This went out to 58 countries around the world, and this was the left-wing media part. This was your CNN's, MSNBC. There you go. Mike Lindell celebrates victory. These all these things here now. But let me tell you, There were two outlets that didn't report it. Okay, Fox News and Newsmax.
Wow.
Okay, and those two, you guys, you got the, I don't know how to tell you all this. If you want to get news on securing your elections, you're not getting it from those two outlets. One of them, the owner is even though Newsmax publicly traded, he's scared out of his own shadow because remember he was sued every which way from sundown by the machine companies. So, but they won't even report proactive thing. Wouldn't it be news? Just a news. Mike Lindell won his appeal. His evidence is good. What I would say that every outlet in the world did. And then of course, Fox News, who won't report anything. You know what I compare Fox News and Newsmax to, everybody? I compare them to weather channels that won't report hurricane or tornadoes. They won't report those two things. So you can watch Fox all day long, get all this other stuff going on, but you're not going to get what we started the show with, your information on how close we are to securing our elections and going back to 2020. Just like the president said, he's reached out to states like you wouldn't believe to get the 2020 stuff to show that the election was stolen. You learn from it, and we secure our elections based on what's going to be shown there. And you will not see that. The day that Fox News or Newsmax finally reports that, I don't know what it's going to take for them to. You could say, hey, here, look at this. You guys should have never paid out any money. And they would go, and the whole world would say, yes, it's okay for you to say something, Fox. It's okay. You ain't going to hear it. So if you want news on your election, stay away from them two stations. Go to LindellTV.com. And I'm not saying that just because it's Lindell TV. I'm saying it because sometimes not saying stuff is worse than
That's right.
than putting out with disinformation, which we all know are lies from the fake news. I was attacked for 4 years, everybody, and I welcomed it every day. The media attacked me because I raised my hand. Mike, you lost 10 more box stores. How do you feel? Did you hear about the machines? We need to melt them down and turn them into prison bars. That's how I got the word out. You didn't have me on Fox and Newsmax. They're over there going, all is well, all is well, all is well. Oh, the 2020 election, well, we have evidence here. The machines were a great thing, blah, blah, blah. All is well, all is well. No, that's that. You see what I mean? You trust those things, and you could throw Salem Media into that too. Throw Salem Media in there. I hope you're not with Salem Media, are you, Justin?
No.
I just say it like it is, but Salem
That's
Media.
fine with me.
Salem Media is a great network, but they went public in 2017. I broke bread back then with the owners, and they quit talking about the elections when the first thing of lawfare came out. Remember, everybody, lawfare hadn't been used in our country since the 1700s.
Yeah.
That's what killed the voice. Then you got the ones that did stand up. They're going, look at that conspiracy theorist. Look at that conspiracy guy. Look at Mike Lindell. Look at boy, if you speak up, you're going to get, you could end up like them. You could end up like Mike Lindell. You could end up like anyone else. Look at those tinfoil hat people.
Yeah, the nail that's sticking up gets the hammer. That's what people that's what they're afraid of. Hey, Mike, I got a couple of folks who are watching in the VIP right now in the Freedom Fam, and Bonnie just wanted us to tell you she absolutely loves the mattress topper. Terry, who's a big fan, says, thank you, Mike, for all you've done for saving America for corrupt elections. You'll be in the history books as a hero and a patriot, and you make great pillows. May God bless and protect you.
Oh, God bless her. God bless y'all. And I give the glory to God. But, God gave me a voice, a big platform. If you ever read my book, everybody, and you can go to LindellTV.com. We have the audio book there. But if you read it, I could never even talk in front of people. I had fear of rejection, being an ex-addict. And you don't get rejected if you don't talk. So I had to overcome those fears when I was saved on February 18, 2017, everybody, is when I accepted the Lord. And I'll tell you, if you'd have told me where this would be, everything that had happened in my book up to that point, at 14 near-death experience, all these different things. But now you could take from that point on what's happened, and a person wouldn't even believe it. I would never believe that God gave me this platform as a voice, but it's all of our voice. It's everybody's voice. And I feel that I'm just put here to because of what's happened in my past, using it for good, even though there were a lot of terrible things that happened in my life and a lot of things that brought on myself, but you learn from them, and God uses all of us in different ways. So everybody, I just encourage everybody to be courageous, because courage is contagious. And right now, everybody needs to stand up, which brings up another thing I want to bring up too, is Justin, is everyone says to me all the time, Mike, the judges, how do we get through this? The judges are all corrupt. No, they're not, everybody. Here's a very simple thing. When it comes to the election platforms and getting rid of these machines, everything's been thrown out for standing or sanctioning people, other than these victories I just told you about we've had recently. But you got to think about this. How would you like to be the first judge? There's a lot of fear there. I mean, when you're getting a call going, hey, you're living with a pretty nice family, and don't kid yourself, this stuff goes on. Sure. All it took was one judge. We need to pray for, if you know judges, pray for them to have courage and be the judges that they're supposed to be, that they were put there for, not just to kick the can and there's no standing, so they don't even have to look for it. Look what one judge did, everybody, when it came to the mask in Florida. I believe it was a gal. She said one day, she goes, these masks on airplanes are nonsense. She made that ruling, and in 2 days, the whole world, airplanes were set free. You got to live again without these crazy masks. So it's only going to take one judge or one breakthrough, and those are coming, everybody. In Argentina is the last country that got rid of the machines, and it was 2.5 years ago. And this judge said, you know what? These machines, there's problems with computers in elections. We've got to get rid of them now. And everyone's going, we can't do it in time. We can't do it in time. You know what? They did. They did it in 4 months. They switched their whole country over to paper ballots, hand counted. They beat the Netherlands by a month, and they freed their country. It's a beautiful thing. Wow. On the other hand, you have Brazil, which was the last country completely stole from President, good friend of mine, Bolsonaro. And that's a whole other story for another show. But I'm just telling you, everybody, that when you say patience and you say everybody's corrupt, they're all corrupt. No, they're not. And what you're finding out that's happening right now in our country, there's people, when I went through, and I know them all, and there's this whole middle group here that were just cowards that didn't want to say anything. And it goes a little bit on the left, kind of right in the middle here. They were afraid to speak out, and are afraid to. And I'm talking our legislatures, our Congress, our politicians, but you're seeing them more and more come on board, because we are the majority. Common sense is the majority. Our president said something the other day. He goes, this men and women sports, that wasn't an 80-20 thing. That's like 97% 3. I think it's like 99-1. Or transgenders, all this garbage, all this stuff, everybody. This is all people want. We're all together. Donald Trump will go down as the biggest uniter in history. And like I told him the other day, I said, sir, or I told people on the show, I said, everybody loves our president. Some just don't know it yet. And this is true. If you talk to the people out here, if you see your government and politicians, judge anybody, I don't care who they are, judges, anything, that makes a decision that doesn't help any of the people, then you know there's a hidden agenda, and it's a very evil agenda, or it could be a self-serving agenda. But either way, anytime you see a deviation in that kind of behavior, you got to ask yourself, for example, when this last administration, if you call it that, when they came in on the first day, if I'd have been their advisors, I would have said, you guys, they're on to us. Don't do anything stupid. We'll teach them that socialism is having a cup of coffee with your friend, and then we'll just kill it later. But we still have our ways to steal our elections with the machine. Let's just lay low. But they did. They hit the ground running, open up the border, shut down the pipeline. 50,000 people lose their jobs. 13 people commit suicide. And you got to stand back here and go, wait a minute. Things were going pretty good on that border. Why would you do that? There was that hidden agenda. And these things like that didn't make sense. But this is what the last 4.5 years have done, going, people are onto that. And so I'm very encouraged, and kind of went on a little thing there. But that's why I'm so hopeful now, because we have so many things we didn't have then. We have people's awareness. You have people in the middle here that are going, hey, I want common sense. I want common sense, and but that can all be stolen from us. So we just all got to be it's just stay involved. You know how many people, Justin, came up to me and going, Mike, you've been vindicated. Donald Trump won. I've been attacked worse since he won than ever in my pillow because I'm the threat to get rid of the electronic voting machine. Why do you think everyone should look at that? Why are they still attacking my pillow and Mike Lindell? Because before they all said Mike wants to overturn the 2020 election. He wants Donald Trump in. Donald Trump's in. Why are they still attacking me? It's only one reason, everybody. I'm the biggest threat to get rid of these voting machines like all the other countries. That's it, period. There is no other reason.
We will put all the links up for this program. We really appreciate you taking the time, Mike. You were very generous with the time today, and
thank you.
We love being able to support you. And folks, again, we're going to give those links out. We'll make sure they're up on the episodes. But if you want to go, there's a givesendgo.com/Mike Lindell. There's a Mike Lindell Legal Defense Fund.com, the Lindell Offense Fund. And don't forget Lindell TV as well. And hey, Mike, I have to talk to you maybe one of these days. We can get you a show to put on Lindell TV. Would love to. I got this idea for good news. I wrote a book about good news, hope, and encouragement for trying times. And it's all about finding the good news and sharing that with people because I believe it's always happening. You hit the nail on the head with it. But one of these days, maybe we talk about that. And
no, absolutely. Let's make it today. Give me a call this afternoon. We'll get it done.
You got it, Mike. We'll do. MyPillow.com, mystore.com/Justin. And thank you, Mike, for all your support.
Thank you, Justin.